So why do men get jealous? I know a lot of y'all gonna say it's because of insecurity. That is like probably the most basic answer that we can give as far as like, why do men get jealous? Oh, because you're insecure. Basic answer. We're gonna just basic answers. There's some factual stuff in there, but it's a basic answer. So think about this. Jealousy for men, specifically for men, is actually rooted in both psychology and biology. It's rooted in both psychology and biology because how men we're wired as being protectors and we protect what we value. I know y'all didn't think about that, right? Y'all was like, oh, men are insecure and we're emotional. No, we are wired to be protectors and we were wired to protect what we value. So historically, and this is a historically, jealousy was intended for survival. Jealousy was intended to make sure that our partner wasn't emotionally or physically interested in anybody else. That's what it really kind of was coming from in that standpoint. But the issue lies, and I know this is where we're going to get maybe a common ground. The issue lies is done in unhealthy ways. It's done in a way that is not really helping advance the relationship. Now, when men see a potential threat, right, and this is instinctively, when men see a potential threat, whether if it's real or imaginary, what if it's really, okay, well, you're actually loving on another man, or I think you're loving on another man, which either if it's real or imaginary, I'm not talking about which is right or which is wrong, right? Just as right now, just think about what is real and what is imaginary. Our brains are going to go into fight or flight response. Our brain goes into, we need to defend what we have because there's a possibility that we may lose what we have that we value and that we want to protect. So biologically, we go into fight or flight responses. That's how our brains are wired. Jealousy and insecurity, yeah, basic answer. Cool, that's great. But we have to go a little bit deeper into why men feel jealous. It's because it's a protective factor. But the issue lies, again, where this shows up as being angry, having anger outbursts, getting into arguments, being physically withdrawn, having controlling behavior. That's probably the main thing. Having women become part of an abuse cycle when it comes to jealousy. And this is not anything I'm saying, okay, well, this is why we do it, and that's an excuse why we do it because that's how we're wired. This is why we have the conversation, because we have to understand, where is this coming from? I'm not, again, as a man and as a therapist, I'm not justifying that this is why this happens. Like, it's okay because this is how we're wired, but we have to understand instinctively, first, where is all this coming from? Because there's a disconnect between a man being protective and a man being argumentative and abusive. There's nothing wrong with men being protectors. That's just my personal belief. I mean, you guys can argue with me if you want. That's cool. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should men be protectors? We can talk about it. But it's the way we handle it. It's the way that jealousy becomes a sense of not protection, but it doesn't become a protective factor anymore. It becomes literally toxic. It's a toxic trait to have when you're in a relationship. Jealousy is something that will literally poison a healthy relationship. A man can do everything else perfectly. But if that jealousy is in place, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. That relationship goes straight downhill, straight in the gutter. So understanding where this comes from instinctively for men, this is where the work needs to be done. This is where, as men, we need to find ways in which we can protect without being jealous. Now, a couple things that may spark a man to be jealous is, the first common one is the attention from another man. That's probably the most common one. Even if, ladies, you have a male friend, even if you have a male friend, that can trigger a man. Not always because of the insecurity, but because of the protective nature a man may have. Now, some men may feel uneasy when a woman is attracting another guy. But here's the key. Here's the key with this is trust. Trust, fellas. If you're with a woman, you have to be able to trust that she's not going to fall for this other man. That's the fact of the matter, because a lot of times we don't really get into all of that, right? Now, I want to dig deeper. I know I was saying insecurity is the basic answer, but it's not a bad response. It's just a basic one that we all draw to, but it's not an incorrect. I'm saying I'll say that much. It's not the wrong answer. It's just the basic answer. Now, when a man doesn't feel like he's enough, and that insecurity draws in, whether it's financially, emotionally, physically, jealous, or insecure, and that jealousy is going to creep up. That jealousy is going to creep up to somebody that may have more. They may have the chisel abs. They may be emotionally available. They may have more money, right? They may be more physically attractive. So some men with the insecurities may see that as a threat. Again, where does insecurities come from? It's not just, oh, I'm insecure about myself. It's like, I see this person as a threat. I see this person as potentially taking my girl. I see this person possibly taking the one woman I've fully invested in. That is really the issue. Now, the other part of this, what triggers men, is past betrayals and trauma. Past betrayals and trauma, aka baggage in a relationship. Now, if a man's been cheated on, if he's been hurt before, and these can be very small triggers that prompts the jealousy. If a man was in a relationship and it didn't go well, if a man was cheated on, again, if he's been in a space where he's been hurt, there's a strong likely chance that he is going to get jealous. And it's not jealousy in the sense of, okay, I feel like another man is going to come in and, take over, things of that nature. But it's really him reliving that trauma and that jealousy that comes with it, those unresolved issues that he has. And it's less about, ladies, your actions in this relationship is more so about the unhealed wound. It's the man has not fully healed from what he was dealing with prior to. So now you are left with a broken man emotionally. And that comes with the jealousy, possibly the insecurities, and all those other things. Because again, you don't have to even have a male friend or whatever it may be, coworker. You can literally have somebody, he may make somebody up in his mind. And it happens. It happens. There's always this, sometimes this imaginary friend or imaginary thing, imaginary person or whoever it may be that a man sees that you may like. So as far as fetch as it sounds, it's not unreal. And I want you guys, ladies, put a heart emoji if you agree with that in the comments. Have you ever dealt with a man that had this imaginary jealous boyfriend that you was messing with on the side, or somebody else that you were messing with at work? Just this imaginary person that did not exist. And that comes from, again, unhealed trauma, unresolved issues in previous relationships. Now, fellas, this is how you have to manage and cope with your jealousy. The first thing is acknowledge it, bro. Like, acknowledge that you are jealous in this relationship. Instead of acting out and being passive aggressive, like, recognize that there is something there. There is something there, that jealousy, and take a breath and ask yourself this question. Just really ask yourself this question. Is this person a threat? This other man a threat? Or am I projecting my fears? Because what is it really? Is it really the other man that you're jealous of? Or is it the potential fear that you may lose your woman? Because you can lose your woman to anything. But fellas, this is the issue, is that your jealousy is actually going to push the woman away as opposed to the man actually swooping up and taking your lady. You're going to be pushing her away. And when you push her away, she probably might see that other person a little bit more attractive because you're pushing and pushing because you think something else is going on over here. The other part of this, fellas, is build your confidence. Build your confidence up. Build your self-esteem. Work on you. Make sure you're secure about yourself. And I like the sentiment by Eric Billinger when he says, if they ain't looking, I don't want it. Meaning that I want to be able to be with somebody that is attractive, not, and other men may compliment or make a comment or whatever it may be. I mean, that's a compliment to me. That's a compliment that I pull a bad one. You dig? So it's not about, oh, this man's going to come up or swoop up or type of deal. If you're confident in yourself, then you ain't got nothing to worry about. Your lady's gonna stand by your side. The other fellas, like they're gonna, like, again, if you're dating somebody that's attractive, men are just that's what they're gonna do. That's what we do. That's what single men do or whoever. That's what men do. They gravitate towards pretty women. So understand that if you can't handle dating an attractive woman, you probably shouldn't date an attractive woman. I'm gonna just say that. If you can't handle dating somebody who looks attractive because of your insecurities, then you probably shouldn't be dating baddies. You shouldn't be dating fine women. That's just my opinion. But you can, but you have to be more secure in yourself and not worry about other men potentially ruining your relationship and making up these stories in your head. Now, the other part of this is being able to communicate with your partner and not control. Now, again, jealousy, it becomes toxic when it becomes control. Jealousy becomes toxic when it becomes control because instead of making rules, like you can't talk to him or, you need to just unfollow him or block him or not say anything. You need to just keep your eyes like this and not have your blinders on when you go outside this home or outside in the world. That's control. Having open communication and open, honest communication is the better thing to do, as opposed to feeling as if you need to control every situation and scenario. Now, ladies, I got something for y'all too, so I didn't forget about y'all. So if you're dealing with a jealous man, here's a couple things to consider. The first thing is to reassure, but not overcompensate. Not overcompensate, just enough for reassurance. And if he's feeling insecure, simply affirm that your eyes are only on him. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to be doing anything with anybody else. You're locked in. But when you overcompensate, you're like literally walking on eggshells. You're trying to meet his needs and make him feel more insecure by actually following those intents of him saying like, hey, stay in your blinders, stay in your lane, block him, do this, do that, blah, 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 unfollow him, block him, and all this other stuff, right? That's overcompensating. You shouldn't have to do that in the relationship. Now, if there's a safety concern, meaning somebody stalking you or, somebody's doing all those type of things, those weird things, then yeah, obviously you might want to put some of those boundaries in place. But if it's nothing that's life-threatening or a safety concern, don't feel as if you need to overcompensate. Now, also be transparent without justifying. Just be open and honest. Like if you have a male friend at work and somebody works with you, don't feel the need to defend every interaction. And don't also feel the need to lie about interactions that you guys had. So instead, allow him to be in your world. Allow him to be the man in your life, the one you care about and the one that you're with. Allow him to be in your world. Allow him to be in those spaces or work parties or, be invited to certain things that may include other men or your male friends. So there's no suspicion at all. Also, ladies, set some boundaries. Be sure you set those boundaries. I love saying that word boundaries. Make sure you set boundaries because healthy jealousy it can be normal, but when it turns into, again, controlling behavior, guilt tripping, accusations, that becomes the problem. When it becomes those toxic traits, it becomes a problem. Ladies, you're not responsible for managing your man's insecurities. You don't need to be in this cycle of controlling behavior, manipulation, following those directions, being guilty before proven innocent or any of those things. You are not responsible for his insecurities. At the end of the day, jealousy is not the enemy, it is how you respond to it. Again, fellas, we may have that instinct nature of fight or flight, but we need to learn how to manage those emotions so that we can not have these toxic traits of jealousy ruin our relationship. And ladies, be sure that you are offering support, but also not enabling these toxic traits that a man that is jealous may have. And the key for both of y'all is trust. Trust is the key factor that is going to help you guys get to the space where you can overcome the jealousy in the relationship. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. If this was helpful, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all those great things. I also have a couple other videos here that y'all can check out that have to do with really practical tips on how to build healthier relationships. Until next time, you guys take care and take care of each other.